Federal agents raided a St. Paul business this morning and were met by a group of protesters in a scene that grew increasingly tense.
Okay, so this got pretty bad. Now, on November 18th in St. Paul, Minnesota, Brotex Incorporated was raided by ICE. However, this was a targeted criminal operation with a judicial warrant, yet protesters still showed up, and federal agents, they pushed back. They were not having it. So we're gonna dig into all of this. Like, how did protesters know just to show up? Did this operation get leaked? We're gonna dig into all of it. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And I think people want to see what the heck is going on with this operation, because it highlights, even if you have a judicial warrant, you're still probably going to be met with opposition, according to federal agents. Okay, before we talk about the clashing, let's first talk about what exactly is going on here, because it gives us a lot of context, and I think it leaves a lot of us scratching our heads like, why would you protest what's going on here? Basically, this was a targeted operation involving a bunch of different federal agencies. It was ICE, FBI, DEA, HSI, and others.
It didn't take long for a group of protesters to rally outside Brotex.
How dare you!
A longtime St. Paul paper company.
Outrageous, man.
Clashing then with federal agents. Witnesses say stormed the shop this morning.
Take off those masks!
In a statement, ICE says it was serving a search warrant, not confirming if anyone was arrested.
Okay, so now is probably a good time to let you guys know that one of the people who was arrested already had a domestic abuse charge, and somebody else already was deported out of the country, but came back into the country, which is a felony. So this is what we're dealing with this operation. So the mayor-elect of St. Paul was not happy, even though criminals have been taken off of her streets. In fact, her response is, we need a better rapid response network. I mean, check this out.
This is exactly the kind of situation where a rapid response communication system could have helped. There is much we need to do in our city in creating this network and this infrastructure.
I want to just thank the groups that were here and were helping out and on the ground. Because of what you did, our community is safer and better. I am committed to working with our groups and to ensure that we are able to deploy people with the resources that they need in order to be good constitutional observers.
Okay, so here we go again. Another mayor talking about these rapid response networks, talking about having legal observers, but also talking about some sort of cooperation between the city and these rapid response teams. And to the Trump administration, this is the way that cities are able to either get in the way or obstruct the Trump administration without it being the city. It's not us, we're just the city. These are legal observers who are just here to watch. Yet there is still some sort of communication going on behind the scenes.
Holy shit.
Hey, real quick, before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with stories just like this and others around the United States. We are tracking a lot of stories every single day, and I want to make sure you don't miss a thing. So make sure to please subscribe, and if you see the QR code, that's for people watching TV. Just take out your cell phone, scan the QR code. That's an easier way to subscribe as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so here's where things get interesting. According to this city official, apparently that was a peaceful protest. I mean, this is the way she saw what we just saw.
Yesterday, immigrant workers were taken from their jobs, separated from their families, and loaded into unmarked vans. Yesterday, peaceful constitutional observers and community members documenting the incident were met with violence. We are here today to publicly condemn all violence against immigrant workers and our brave, peaceful observers. Federal agents use chemical irritants, physical force, even their vehicles, against our community members just utilizing their rights. Concerned and caring residents were shoved, thrown to the ground. One observer's foot was run over. This is not safety. This is not law enforcement. This is state violence.
I always try to cross-reference videos and photos and bring the full picture together. I found this picture. These are literally protesters who are all locked in arm in front of this silver vehicle right here. This is the same silver vehicle we just saw in the TikTok. Here's the same silver vehicle. And remember, that city official was putting the blame on the federal agents, yet when we cross-reference this video and we cross-reference this photo, these are protesters standing in front of federal agents who are trying to leave the operation. Again, even if you hate ICE agents, I'm just trying to give you guys the full perspective so we know what's actually going on here. Because if you don't know the context, you would just assume these federal agents are just ramming through people as if there was no pushback. For those of you who subscribe to my channel, you know the #1 way you will ever get hit with tear gas, some sort of bear mace, or you maybe even getting arrested is if you try to touch or get in the way of federal vehicles. You cannot touch federal vehicles, especially in the middle of an active search warrant. This is a legitimate operation signed off by a judge. I also want to point out, when you scroll back, you can quite literally see that the caution tape has been breached. So when you cross the caution tape and now you're within the area of this active investigation, what do you think is going to happen? But I'm just trying to show you guys, that's why I wanted to put the mayor and a city official talking about this being peaceful. We can clearly see that laws have been broken here. This person right here is literally touching a federal vehicle. That right there could get her arrested. But these agents don't have the time to do that. They just want to get out of here. Okay, and remember, that city council member was saying the federal agents, they were shooting pepper balls. They were using their vehicles as a weapon. Well, let's just watch the tape. Were those people standing in front of that vehicle? Right here. Are these people standing in front of the silver vehicle we already saw in the TikTok? That's the question. If so, this is clearly illegal. I also want to point out these agents are being super nice by only hitting the ground and not hitting the protesters. Because we know over in Portland, that's not how things work. But again, all the context matters. If you're trying to portray these federal agents as evil and bad, I want to point out every single detail. These agents are hitting the ground. Right there.
As far as we know, and we received a phone call at about 8:15 in the morning that the ICE was on the premises and there were no judicial warrants.
And again, I mean, the city councilor is claiming that the agents were using the vehicle as a weapon. These are people who are holding on to the front of the federal vehicle. They're trying to leave the operation, yet these protesters are getting in the way, pretty much making them stay at the operation.
There were no judicial warrants as far as we know.
There's no judicial warrants as far as we know. And guess what? These federal agents do not have to tell anybody what's going on.
There are people that were detained that don't have a criminal record besides what you would call a misdemeanor for being in the country with without legal documentation.
Obviously, we've had a big federal action, ICE agents and folks in the community. We're trying to get our arms around kind of what exactly their action is, and you know, obviously they don't coordinate with us. Thank you guys. Obviously they don't.
I mean, we can see this clear as day. These are people leaning on the front of these federal vehicles. So again, when you have a city councilor and we're not given the full context, as Americans, we want to know what's going on. Is it true that federal agents are purposely hurting American people, or is there another side to this story? Again, please like the video, share the video, get it out there so people really know what's going on.
Coordinate with us, and so we have to try to get our information the same way everybody else does. So we're trying to figure it out right now, trying to see if folks are injured, if we need ambulances and things like that.
No justice! No justice! Who are you protecting when you set off tear gas? There are older folks here who can't handle that.
I'm pretty sure one of my cousins got arrested, yes. He's allowed by his sentencing. He just came in to help his family members, his mom, back in Mexico. That's all he really came to this country to do. And if that's a crime, God forbid, then we're all criminals.
Okay, so I always try to be as fair as possible with these investigations, and I found this clip right here, which seems to be a peaceful part of this protest, if you want to call it peaceful, but what we can see in the video, we're about to watch it, there was some sort of perimeter, and there was some sort of caution tape put in place, but then we know eventually that was breached. So let's check this out.
A lot of people, there's like a window that I had seen some workers looking through the window. Shame on you guys!
Every time y'all come out, it's like this.
Okay, so right here is a very crucial detail. Here is caution tape, and the reason why this specific location is very crucial is because in the video I showed you where the caution tape was breached, we can clearly see this is the same location where that person was filming. Somebody broke through the caution tape, or at the very least, these protesters, they went on the other side of the caution tape, and it looks like they're interfering with federal operations, which is why context matters. Yeah, it's true. There probably were some peaceful protesters there. I mean, this looks rather peaceful. But again, in context, we know there was some sort of security tape or caution tape, and eventually it was breached. We can literally see it in the videos.
We are gonna be up your ass every time!
Every time! Up that ass! Hell yeah! I don't know if these vans have anything to do with it, but I'm just noting that these giant vans are here. I don't know how many people they plan on stealing from this place. Brotex, Inc., come on down, observe, the illegal observer.
Specifically right here is exactly the other orientation I showed you where all that pepper spray was deployed and we saw that clash. Right here is the exact location, and would you look at that, there is caution tape.
Bring your whistles.
In fact, as we watch this video, we can see the caution tape is still going up even higher. And yes, you know I'm going to say it, whenever I hear whistles, that is the #1 indicator that this is probably a group effort or some sort of organization who is mobilizing to get down here. It's what we see across the board. In Chicago, in Los Angeles, and in Portland, the whistle has become a massive symbol in pushback against these deportation operations. Now, at this point, I'm sure none of these people realize this is a signed judicial warrant for a criminal investigation.
Who are these people?
I'll be loud.
Detain his dad, who worked here most his life.
He's even a criminal. He comes and works. He supports our family.
An immigrant rights group deploying what they call constitutional observers to document what's happening.
We hold our police to a higher standard, and that's not what a state that prioritizes peaceful demonstrations and democracy should look like.
Take your mask off! This comes 5 months after a raid at a Minneapolis Mexican restaurant the feds said was a drug trafficking probe after 900 pounds of meth was found in a storage unit. Then, in October, federal agents detained a group of Latino roofers while on a job. A month later, pulling a man from his car in Northfield.
We can't always be aligned, but we should always be respectful.
Former Anoka County Sheriff and President Trump's pick to be Minnesota's U.S. Marshal, Jim Stewart, says administrations remove undocumented immigrants every year.
And here's the reality of the situation. I say this a lot in my videos, but it's simply true. 65% of Americans want general deportations. 90% of Americans do not like criminals. So overall speaking, although we hear a lot of loud voices of people who hate ICE and we need to stop ICE and these are a bunch of evil people, statistically speaking, the majority of America is actually okay with what you're seeing. That's just the reality of things.
Tens of thousands, according to Department of Homeland Security data dating back to the early 1900s.
Right now, it's sad to me that it's become such a political divide, and tragically, we're getting way too much bystander involvement that's compromising the safety of everyone involved.
An emotional outcome.
This is absolutely wrong.
Leaving these people with more questions than answers.
Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I noticed a lot of people were only focusing on the clashing and looking at the pepper spray, but I really tried to give you guys the fullness of a story and show you what the implications are. I mean, what it looks like is that in St. Paul, you're gonna start seeing more observer groups, or throughout the surrounding areas, more of these observer groups cooperating with the city. That's the impression I'm getting. Leave your comments down below how you feel about this. And like I always say, please pray for peace. We do need peace right now in this country. This is not something we laugh at or think it's a great thing, but we need to make sure we can come together as a country and figure out a way how we can have some peace. Because when there are criminals in the country, Americans don't like when criminals are here. That's what the stats say. But why do we still have Americans clashing with federal agents who are trying to do the job in which taxpayers are paying for? That's what we're trying to figure out. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to please like and subscribe, and again, please pray for peace. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all later.